July 11, 2015. Mexico's most dangerous prisoner was about to disappear. This wasn't just another prison. It was Altiplano, the highest security prison in Mexico. 24 hours a day, every corner of the prison was under constant surveillance. Armed guards patrolled every corridor. Thick reinforced concrete and steel made escape seem impossible. Every movement inside these walls was recorded. Among those prisoners was Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, the leader of the powerful Sinaloa cartel. Within hours, he would vanish without a trace. But this story didn't begin on the night of the escape. It began months earlier, far beneath the prison. A secret tunnel was slowly taking shape. It wasn't a rough hole dug through the earth. It was a carefully engineered passage built with remarkable precision. Workers dug in complete secrecy day after day. Every meter brought them closer to the prison, and closer to El Chapo. By the time anyone realized what was happening, the greatest prison escape in modern history was already underway. The tunnel wasn't built by amateurs. Every detail had been carefully planned. Engineers calculated the exact route beneath the prison. The diggers worked around the clock. Every shovel of dirt had to disappear without raising suspicion. Ventilation systems pushed fresh air deep underground. Electric lights illuminated the narrow passage. Steel rails stretched through the tunnel. A customized motorcycle carried workers, tools, and excavated soil. The operation was funded with millions of dollars. Above ground, prison life continued as normal. Inside his cell, El Chapo waited patiently. He knew the plan was getting closer. The workers measured every meter with incredible precision. They couldn't afford even the smallest mistake. Finally, the tunnel reached the foundation of Altiplano prison. Only a thin layer of concrete remained. The team paused for one final inspection. Everything had to happen at exactly the right moment. On the evening of July 11, 2015, the plan was finally set in motion. To the guards, it looked like another ordinary trip to the shower. The shower was the only place where surveillance cameras couldn't fully see. Hidden beneath the shower floor, workers were waiting. Within moments, the concrete floor opened. A ladder led into the darkness below. Without hesitation, El Chapo climbed down. Within seconds, he disappeared underground. By the time prison staff realized something was wrong, Mexico's most wanted man was already gone. The evening of July 11, 2015 began like any other inside Altiplano federal prison. Guards followed their routines, surveillance cameras recorded every hallway, and nothing appeared out of the ordinary. For El Chapo, however, this wasn't just another night. Months of planning had led to this exact moment. At around 8:50 p.m., surveillance cameras captured him walking calmly around his cell. There was no sign of panic, no rushed movements, and nothing that suggested he was about to attempt one of the most daring prison escapes in modern history. A few moments later, he walked toward the shower area. That wasn't unusual. The shower was one of the few places inside the cell where security cameras couldn't directly observe an inmate. Prison officials had accepted this small blind spot as a necessary compromise to provide basic privacy. But on this night, that blind spot became the most expensive security mistake in Mexican history. As El Chapo stepped into the shower, workers below prepared for the final breakthrough. The concrete beneath the shower floor had already been weakened from below. Only a thin layer remained between the tunnel and the prison cell. Within moments, that final barrier was removed. For the first time in months, the tunnel connected directly to El Chapo's cell. Waiting below was a ladder leading into the underground passage. Without hesitation, El Chapo climbed down into the tunnel. Within seconds, he disappeared beneath the prison. Above ground, the surveillance cameras continued recording an empty shower area, unaware that the man they were supposed to be guarding was already making his escape below them. Deep underground, the tunnel stretched for more than 1.5 kilometers. Electric lights illuminated the path ahead. Fresh air flowed through the ventilation system. Steel rails ran the entire length of the tunnel, allowing a specially modified motorcycle to move quickly through the narrow passage. El Chapo climbed aboard the rail-mounted motorcycle, and the journey toward freedom began. As the small engine echoed through the tunnel, he sped away from the prison, passing reinforced walls, construction equipment, electrical cables, and ventilation pipes that had taken months to install. Every second increased the distance between him and the prison above. Back inside Altiplano, nothing seemed unusual. Guards continued watching surveillance monitors, believing El Chapo was still somewhere inside his cell. Minutes passed, then more minutes. Eventually, officers noticed that he hadn't reappeared from the shower. At first, they assumed he was simply taking longer than usual. But as the minutes continued to pass, concern quickly turned into alarm. A guard was sent to inspect the cell. What they found would leave the entire prison in shock. El Chapo was gone. As dawn broke, investigators arrived at Altiplano prison. What they discovered left them speechless. The tunnel was nearly 1.5 kilometers long. It was equipped with electric lighting from end to end. A sophisticated ventilation system supplied fresh air deep underground. Steel rails ran through the entire passage. A custom-built motorcycle had been used to transport people and equipment. The escape had been planned with military-level precision. Authorities realized this operation had taken months to complete. Questions quickly turned toward corruption. How could such an enormous tunnel be built without anyone noticing? Investigators began examining prison staff and security procedures. Several officials came under intense scrutiny. The escape became an international headline. Around the world, people were stunned by the scale of the operation. For months, El Chapo remained one of the world's most wanted fugitives. An enormous manhunt stretched across Mexico. Intelligence agencies tracked every possible lead. Then, 6 months later, Mexican authorities finally located him. After a fierce operation, El Chapo was captured once again. This time, there would be no second chance. He was eventually extradited to the United States. In 2019, he was convicted on multiple charges, including drug trafficking, money laundering, and engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise. He received a sentence of life imprisonment plus 30 years. Today, he is held inside one of America's most secure federal prisons under extraordinarily strict security measures. The tunnel beneath Altiplano remains one of the most audacious escape routes ever uncovered. It exposed major weaknesses in one of Mexico's highest security prisons, and it proved that even the strongest walls can be defeated by patience, planning, and corruption. More than a decade later, the escape of El Chapo is still remembered as one of the greatest prison breaks in modern history. It wasn't just an escape. It was a meticulously engineered operation that changed the way high-security prisons are protected around the world. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more true crime and history documentaries. Thanks for watching.